Hello, my name is Amanda Holding and I'm going to present a science video. Today is July 25th, 2021. The learning standard is 5-LS2-1. Develop a model to describe the movement of matter among plants, animals, decomposers, and the environment. The goal that I have for students, I hope that students will be able to define if something is a producer, consumer, or decomposer and be able to accurately place it in a food chain. And this is where I would start my lesson. So hello students, this is Mrs. Newman. I hope that you liked the video that we just watched. You may remember this picture from that video. We're gonna get to that in a second. But hopefully we all got reminded what a producer was, what a consumer was, and what a decomposer was. So I would like you to take 1 minute to read this chart to yourself. And then we will have someone read each column aloud. Okay, so once everyone is done, I would like Julie to read the first column. Okay, good. Producers, they make their own food. So that's things like plants and trees. They eat water and they eat air. So they make their own food. They don't need to eat anything tangible. Okay, next student, Grant. Please read the second column. Okay, good job. Consumers eat other organisms for food. So what does that mean? It means that a cow has to eat grass to survive, right? And grass is a living organism, so they are consumers. And third column, Lily, please read that out loud. Okay, good job. Decomposers. They break down dead material. So things like worms break down leaves so that they become dirt, right? I really like worms. They're some of my favorites. Okay, so from the video that we just watched, we learned that there are 3 sections of an ecosystem that they all work together. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna make sure that we can identify which things are producers, which things are consumers, and which things are decomposers. So we're gonna go ahead and raise your hand if you would like to place one of the items you see on the screen into the chart. Okay, great. Let's start with deer. So do you think that's a producer, a consumer, or a decomposer? Does a deer eat air? No. And does it break down leaves? No. So we're gonna we know it's a consumer. Oh, we're gonna go back to the screen and we're just going to take that guy and drag it right over here into the consumer column. Okay. Now, how about grass? What do we think that is? Grass eats air and water, so it produces its own food. So we can put grass right here in that column right there. And how about worms? We talked about this one on the slide before. Worms are decomposers because they break things down as their food. Worms are decomposers. Okay, so why don't you take a minute to fill in the rest of that chart by yourself? Then we'll come back together. You have a bird left, a mushroom, a tree, fish, and I think that's it. So we're gonna have one person come up on the board and drag and drop each of those into columns. Okay, good job, everybody. Do all of our things, are they all in the right columns? Producers, grass and tree. Yep, they both eat air and water. Consumers, deer, fish, and birds. Yes, they all eat other living things. Decomposers, worms and mushrooms. Yes, they all break down matter as their food. Good job, everybody. Okay, so you can look at this list as examples of some of the things that you may like, but for the next assignment, we are going to choose one thing, whatever your favorite thing is, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that. So, each of you are shared on this template right here. So everything in gray you're going to fill in. The first one is your name. So you write your name up there. And then the species name. So if you were going to choose grass, you could put that there, or a deer. You really can get creative with what you choose here. And then over on the right, you're going to put a picture of the species that you selected. And then there are a couple questions down there that you want to make sure to answer. Is this a producer, a consumer, or a decomposer? So write your answer right next to that. It's going to be one of those three things. Why did you choose this? So like, why is it your favorite? What does it do? So, for example, a producer, grass, would eat water and air. That's what its food is. And where does it fit in the food chain? So just write a little bit about where this thing compares to other parts of the food chain. So right here is an example that I just want to show you. So I know that Johnny's not in our class. This is just an example student, so you guys have a guide. So Johnny wrote his name up here. He wrote the species, he chose worm, and then he answered also the picture. He answered all those questions on the bottom. Is this a producer, consumer, or decomposer? He chose a worm, so he put decomposer. Why did you choose this? And Johnny said, I like dirt. That is a very good answer. What does it do? Worms break down things like leaves into dirt. So that's a really good explanation of what worms do. Where does it fit in the food chain? Decomposers are on the ground. Okay, so worms, that's a great example. Worms are on the ground in the dirt. So that's where Johnny said it fit in the food chain. So what we're going to do next is everyone is going to fill this out individually. You can choose a producer, a consumer, or a decomposer. If you have questions as to how to fill this out, you can use Johnny's slide as an example. And once we are all done with this, we're going to take our iPads and have this on there and show the pictures to everyone, and we are going to put everyone's example into a food chain. We're going to stand in order. So be ready to read out loud and present. Some of you are going to work in partners, but just keep in mind that we're going to put whatever species you choose into a food chain. So you really need to understand the role that this plays and where it would go compared to other things in the ecosystem. Please let me know if you have any questions. Have fun.